So Aqara just released their first budget pan and tilt camera, the E1, which is now their third camera in their lineup to support Apple's HomeKit, next to the Aqara G2H Pro and the G3. So with 3 cameras from Aqara to choose from for your Apple smart home, all ranging from different price points, what are the main differences in all of them and which one should you buy for your smart home? Well, I have all 3 cameras here, and in this video, I'll break down the main differences between all of them based on 6 key different categories, including the video and the audio quality, the HomeKit experience, special AI features, and more. And at the very end of the video, I'll share with you my overall thoughts on the Aqara E1 camera and if it's worth buying, or if you should buy a different model or a different brand instead. Aqara did send me the E1 camera for a review of my honest and unbiased thoughts, and the first category that we'll be comparing between all of these cameras is the physical design. Now right off the bat, there's many differences when it comes to physical design, with the E1 looking the most unique. It's a little bigger than the G2H Pro, but not as big as the G3, which comes with these cute cat ears. The E1 can pan and tilt around just like the G3 can, whereas the G2 Pro is a fixed position only. All of them look pretty similar from the front with a lens, LED light, and microphone. However, the lens of the E1 and G3 actually rolls back to reveal a micro SD card slot for local storage, and the G2H Pro micro SD slot is on the bottom of the camera. It uses an older style micro USB cable for power, whereas the E1 and G3 have a newer USB-C port for power, and you only get a power adapter included with the G3 camera. The speaker is on the back of these cameras, along with the HomeKit code to add them to HomeKit on the E1 and on the bottom of the G2 and G3. The E1 camera also has this other code that just says Aqara that is used for a new pairing feature in the Aqara app called Magic Pair, and it makes setting up the camera a lot easier. We'll dive deeper into this later on. The Aqara E1 can be freestanding or mounted upside down using the included mounting piece that you can attach to a wall. The G3 can be mounted in a similar way, though there is no base to screw into the wall included in the box. The Aqara G2H Pro certainly has the most amount of mounting options available. It has an adjustable base that is magnetic and includes a magnetic base piece if you want to attach it to something non-magnetic. So this camera could be freestanding, mounted on a wall, or even upside down. Now let's dive deeper into the internals, and this is where things may surprise you. The Aqara E1 is the first camera by Aqara to feature the new Wi-Fi 6 standard, allowing for longer range, better reliability, and a smoother live view with reduced latency. And the E1 and G2H Pro camera currently do not support Matter, though Aqara plans to add support later on, but the G3 camera does support Matter. And this is a big leap forward from Wi-Fi 4 on the G2H Pro and Wi-Fi 5 on the G3. Later on in the video, I'll share if Wi-Fi 6 has actually made a difference when using the Aqara E1 camera. All cameras support the WPA3 security standard and a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi band, but the G3 is the only model to support both 2.4 and 5 GHz bands. One major internal difference is that the E1 does not support Zigbee and cannot be used as an Aqara hub, whereas the G2H Pro and G3 can both double as Aqara hubs. The E1 camera also supports Bluetooth 5.2, the first Aqara camera to feature Bluetooth, which is used for the new Magic Pair feature for setting up the camera, and Bluetooth allows you to control this camera without an internet connection. Which brings us to our next big difference category, which is setup. And each of these cameras have their own bugs whenever it comes to setting them up. So the E1 has this Magic Pair feature that when you open the Aqara app, will automatically prompt you to set it up when the camera is nearby, and makes setting up this camera incredibly easy. In contrast, the G2H Pro and G3 use this older and less reliable method of having you scan a QR code in the Aqara app on your phone with the Aqara camera, and I personally do not like this. I find it too complicated to use. I cannot ever get the G2H Pro camera to scan the QR code. Instead, I added the camera to the Apple Home app by scanning the HomeKit QR code like usual, and it connected right away. Then I was able to bind the camera to my account in the Aqara app and get the camera into the Aqara app. You get all the features in the Aqara app like you normally would if you added the camera straight from the Aqara app, but I found adding it to HomeKit, then binding it to the Aqara app and not vice versa, to work more reliably. The Magic Pair feature is handy and works well, Though what did not work well was actually getting the E1 camera into the Apple Home app, which we'll dive deeper into whenever we get to the HomeKit experience category. Next, let's compare the video and the audio quality between all of these cameras, and you'll be very surprised at what you see and what you hear. So the E1 camera and the G3 both support 2K quality, which is higher quality than the G2H Pro that only supports 1080p. Now, 2K quality is great to see on a much more affordable camera, but don't get too excited just yet. The E1 features a 101 degree field of view, which is smaller than the 110 degree field of view with the G3, but they can both pan and tilt around the room for 360 degree viewing, whereas the G2H Pro has a fixed view of 146 degrees. There's a bunch of things that you will notice here, both good and bad. We'll start off with comparing the E1 to the G3 since they both support 2K quality. Then we will bring the G2H Pro into the mix and compare all three of them. For both the E1 and the G3 recording in 2K quality, the E1 doesn't look nearly as clear as the G3. It almost has like this yellowish tint to it and is a bit darker. Faces and text are still pretty easy to see from far away with the E1, though the picture quality just looks brighter and more color accurate than on the G3. Night vision looks a little brighter on the E1. Faces and text are still easy to see from away and up close. However, faces do tend to look a little bit overblown. For both of these cameras to support 2K, I'm surprised there's this much of a difference between the quality of the E1 and the G3. Also, on the E1, there was this weird black dot that appeared on the camera, and I thought it was like dirt on the lens, but after cleaning the lens a few times, it was still there. I'm not sure what this is. Bringing the G2H Pro into the mix of things, the G2H Pro tends to be more on the wider side and almost washed out compared to the E1 and the G3. Faces and text are easy to see from far away and close up, just the color still is not as accurate as the G3. When it comes to night vision quality, the G2H Pro is the darkest of the three, which does make faces and text harder to see from far away. However, faces and text up close are clearer and not nearly as overblown compared to the E1 and the G3. Moving on to the audio quality, whenever you're talking to somebody from the Aqara app, the audio quality on all these cameras is honestly not that great.
I am now talking to the Aqara E1 camera from the Aqara app, and this is how the audio quality sounds. I'm now talking to the Aqara G3 camera from the Aqara app, and this is how the audio quality sounds. I'm now talking to the Aqara G2H Pro camera from the Aqara app, and the audio quality you are hearing is coming out of the speaker of the Aqara G2H Pro camera.
As you can tell, whenever you're talking to somebody from the Aqara app, there's a lot of static from these cameras, so I would not recommend trying to talk to somebody from the Aqara app. However, if you are using these cameras in the Apple Home app, then the video quality is slightly different and the audio quality is exceptional across all these cameras. But before we look at the HomeKit experience and some differences that all these cameras have, something else that is exceptional is these wallets by Ekster, who is the sponsor of today's video. Ekster makes these high quality, practical, and minimalist looking wallets with this unique quick action button that will fan out all of your cards with one click, making it super quick and easy to grab the card you need right away, as well as protecting your cards against RFID skimming. And if you're like me and often losing your wallet, then you need a wallet that is easier to use and harder to lose. And their wallets with AirTag support, like this one made from leather or this one made from space grade aluminum, makes this possible. The AirTag fits perfectly in the back of the wallet and makes finding the wallet with the Find My app a breeze. These wallets are certainly my favorite. However, if you don't use AirTags, then there's many other wallet options to choose from, all ranging from different high quality materials, and they all come in a wide variety of colors so you can easily find one that you like. All their wallets are lightweight, thin, and small enough to easily fit in your pocket. But don't just take my word for it. Ekster has thousands of 5-star reviews and has been featured on NBC, Forbes, Business Insider, and many more. And with Black Friday just around the corner, Ekster is having a massive sale where you can save up to 55% off their wallets by using code AdamsTechLife. Wait, 55%? Yeah, 55%. Wow. That's actually insane. Use code AdamsTechLife or go to the link down in the description below to get up to 55% off of Ekster wallets. And a huge thank you to Ekster for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's talk about the HomeKit experience with all of these Aqara cameras. All three cameras work with all major smart home assistants, including Google, Amazon, and Apple HomeKit. Being this is a HomeKit focused channel, we'll just be looking at the features that you get in the Apple Home app. Now, getting these cameras into the Apple Home app was mostly easy. I did run into a couple of bugs. While setting up the E1 camera, there was a prompt to connect to IoT services like HomeKit that I was excited to see, but my excitement did not last long. I followed the prompts, but then it said it was already added to HomeKit, but I had not added it yet, so I was confused. I force quit the app and tried to add the camera again, but this part just kept spinning and spinning and spinning and nothing would happen. I checked my home app and the E1 camera had not been added yet, so I was really confused. I ended up just adding the camera from the home app and it worked with no issues. I just could not get it connected to Apple Home from the Aqara app. Once all these cameras are in the home app, they have very similar features. However, there is one feature that the E1 does not have that the G2H Pro and the G3 both have that may make you reconsider buying this camera. More on this later on. First, what features do they all have? They can all be viewed from the Apple Home app and live streams load up quickly for all of them. I noticed the E1 does sometimes load a little faster compared to the G2H Pro and G3 camera, and that's thanks mostly to the Wi-Fi 6 chip inside. Has having Wi-Fi 6 in this camera been a huge difference to me? No, but it could be helpful for better range, like if you want to put this camera far away from your router, then the range of the Wi-Fi 6 could help make sure that this camera has a strong and steady connection. All the cameras have support for two-way talk and the audio quality is excellent. Voices are clear and it's very easy to understand what somebody is trying to say.
I'm now talking to the Aqara E1 camera from the Apple Home app, and this is the audio quality coming out of the camera from the Aqara G3. I'm now talking to the Aqara G2H Pro camera from the Apple Home app, and the audio quality you are hearing is again from the G2H camera itself.
Video quality in the Apple Home app does vary a little bit between these cameras. So like I mentioned earlier, the E1 and the G3 cameras support 2K quality. However, Apple only supports 1080p in the Apple Home app, so the video quality is downgraded to 1080p in the Home app, but 2K is still available in the Aqara app while being connected to HomeKit. Video quality still looks decent on the E1 and looks good on the G3, and the G2H Pro still looks clear with face clarity and text, though I still think that the G3 is the most color accurate. And the night vision quality looks about the same as well. Now, all these cameras not only support HomeKit, but also support HomeKit Secure Video, Apple's cloud video recording feature that records and stores video footage in iCloud from the last 10 days. This means that they also support facial recognition, activity zones, and alerts for a specific type of alerts, like people, pets, or vehicles. All Aqara cameras are fast to alert when there is motion. I also found clip recordings to be accurate, and all the cameras will record for pretty much as long as there is motion. Now, if you want to learn more about HomeKit Secure Video and hear what the pros and the cons are to it, and why I personally do not use HomeKit Secure Video for any of my cameras, then check out my beginner's guide to HomeKit Secure Video, which I will leave right up right here and also down in the description below. All cameras have a motion sensor exposed, but there's one feature that the E1 camera does not have that both the G2H Pro and the G3 have, and that feature is a security system with 4 different built-in security modes. Now, right out of the gate, these security modes do not do anything whenever you switch between different modes. You have to program each mode in the Aqara app, and then those settings get synced to HomeKit whenever you change between all the different modes. So for example, when you leave home, you could change the system to away mode, and if an Aqara contact sensor, like on a door, is opened while you're away, then it can play an alarm on the camera. These security modes can be added to your automations and scenes, so maybe on your way out the door, you can turn off all the devices in your home and automatically arm your security system. And when the mode gets changed in the Apple Home app, it also reflects this change in the Aqara app and vice versa. This means that you could also ask Siri Siri to arm or disarm your security system from your iPhone or even from your Apple Watch. Category number 5 is special features. What makes each of these cameras unique? We'll start off with the E1 and the G3 since they have the most amount of features. The E1 and G3 are pan and tilt cameras, so they can pan and tilt around the room with controls available in the Aqara app that are fairly easy to use, though sometimes there's a long delay whenever you press and hold to pan around the room. There are additional features on both cameras like predefined positions that you can quickly switch to if you want to see a specific view. You can create your own or rename existing positions. The Aqara E1 and G3 feature a human tracking feature, so as you can tell, as my daughter and I are walking around the room, the cameras are doing a great job at following us around. So if I get real close to the camera and if I were to go down, the cameras adjust accordingly. And so as you can see, the human tracking feature on the E1 and the G3 work very well. The G3 has additional features like dog and cat tracking, cruise, which is where the camera will automatically cycle or cruise through your preset positions. The G3 camera takes things a step further with special AI features like facial recognition and gesture identification. Face detection allows you to run certain automations based on who the camera detects, and gesture identification allows you to use certain hand gestures to control your devices. This is really fun. I made a whole review video on the Aqara G3 where I dive deeper into all these features if you want to learn more about them. Both the E1 and the G3 do offer a privacy feature, but the G3 does privacy a little bit better. So when you enable privacy mode on the E1 or put the camera to sleep, the camera lens rotates away from facing you to your preferred angle and goes to sleep. But the lens is still showing, so it almost doesn't feel like it's private, or maybe that's just me. On the other hand, the G3, when you put it to sleep, the lens completely rolls back and shows a sleepy face. Now, if you are using the E1 or the G3 in the Apple Home app, there's a weird privacy thing that you should know about. When the camera is asleep and you open the live feed in the Apple Home app, the camera wakes up and displays a live feed. And when you close the live feed, the camera goes back to sleep. This can be a good or bad thing depending on how you look at it or what you use this camera for. Now, of course, you can just set the cameras to off when you're at home in the Home app, and that would really give you the most amount of privacy. Since the G2H Pro is fixed only, there's no pan and tilt features or privacy mode from the Aqara app like you get with the E1 and G3. Though of course you can just turn the camera around manually if you need the privacy. And there's no special AI features like you get with the G3, but all three cameras can mute the microphone while recording video. Unfortunately, a lot of these features like pan and tilt, gesture detection, or privacy mode are all not exposed to HomeKit, meaning you can only adjust these settings from the Aqara app. However, these features can now be saved as scenes and synced to HomeKit, allowing you to use them within your automations. For example, you can create a scene to have the camera rotate to a specific position, say like turning to the living room, enabling gesture detection on the G3, or even turning on or off privacy mode. There's a plethora of effects that each camera has, such as playing a ringtone, controlling the motion detection, and more. They can all be converted into scenes and be controlled from HomeKit or even with Siri. This is amazing. What's also amazing is the G2H Pro and the G3 support Zigbee, whereas the E1 does not. This allows the G2H Pro and the G3 to be used as an Aqara hub for other Aqara child devices. So not only are you getting a camera, but you're getting a camera and a hub all in one package. Category number 6 is local and cloud storage. All of these cameras have support for some kind of video storage, either a paid cloud option by Aqara and support for local 24/7 recording via a micro SD card. Both the Aqara E1 and G2H Pro have support for up to 512 gigs, whereas the G3 camera only supports up to 128 gigs. Viewing and scrubbing through the footage in the Aqara app from any of the Aqara cameras is pretty easy and responds quickly. Another missing feature from the Aqara E1 camera is Event Timeline. This allows you to see when the status of an Aqara child device, like a contact sensor or motion sensor, was changed. You're able to choose any status from any of your devices, like when a contact sensor was opened, when motion was detected, or when like an Aqara lock was unlocked, and more. And you can even choose the color of the event and they will appear here on the timeline. This feature is only available on the G2H Pro and G3 camera, I assume because they are Aqara hubs and support Zigbee, whereas the E1 is not a hub and does not support Zigbee. So with all this being said, let's briefly recap the main differences between all three of Aqara's cameras. The E1 and G3 feature 2K quality, whereas the G2H Pro is 1080p. All cameras support HomeKit and HomeKit secure video, though live streams and recordings are only in 1080p quality. The G2H Pro and G3 feature a security system in the Apple Home app and can be used as Aqara hubs, whereas the E1 cannot do either one. All of these cameras have support for some kind of video storage, and the G3 camera has special AI features. So overall, if you're looking for a pan and tilt camera that supports Apple's Home, I say the Aqara E1 is a decent option. There's many other cameras on the market that support pan and tilt and work with Apple Home that are almost the same price as the Aqara E1. I'm a huge fan of the Eufy Indoor Pan and Tilt, which again costs about as much as the Aqara E1, has 2K quality that looks better than the Aqara E1, has support for HomeKit and HomeKit secure video, local 24/7 recording, and even a built-in alarm in the Eufy app, although it's not exposed to HomeKit and does not feature a privacy mode if you need that. The Aqara E1 is a good budget option if you're looking for a pan and tilt camera and already use many other Aqara devices and don't need an Aqara hub, or already have an Aqara hub, or just want to use the extra features available with other Aqara devices inside the Aqara app. The G2H Pro is great if you need an Aqara hub, want the security system in HomeKit, and don't need pan and tilt, and costs just a smidge more than the E1. The G3 is great if you want these special AI features like facial and gesture recognition, and is the most expensive camera. If you're looking to add a smart camera to your smart home, then I made a video comparing all the indoor fixed and pan and tilt cameras, which you can check out right here. Let me know what you guys think about the Aqara E1 camera down in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.